choices a consequence of scarcity? As we have talked previously, we have scarcity. Meaning our resources are not enough to satisfy all the possible things we want to do with them. And we can only produce a limited amount of goods and services as a result of it. But as you all know, we have unlimited wants, and therefore we have to make choices. What are we going to be producing since we can't do it all? Which means there are certain items we'll have to give up on. That's our trade-off. And the value of what we gave up is going to be our opportunity cost. So these choices will have some opportunity cost. So how do we make these choices? Well, typically we don't make them randomly. We are rational thinkers. We try to do what's best for ourselves, maximize the amount of benefit that we get from our actions. Economists like to use this word utility, which describes the amount of satisfaction or benefit that you get from consuming goods and services. So we try to maximize this utility. The decision process also can be described as what we call marginal thinking, which is comparing cost and benefit for various actions. And the marginal here describes the fact that we look at one or a small change at a time. The last part is we try to be efficient in our individual decision, efficient in how we use our resources as a country. So this means trying to get the most out of what we have. A little bit of definitions here. Maximizing utility, as I mentioned earlier, utility represents the satisfaction or the benefit that you get from consuming a good. And how we do this? Well, we look at the price of an item, we look at how much benefit we get, and that helps us make the choices. So considering the cost of the item and how much benefit help us decide what can we purchase that will get us the most for our money. Rationality, as I described earlier, is having reason or understanding. So doing things in a purposeful manner, not randomly. And the big economic word that we use is following our self-interest. And that's going to be different for everybody. Everybody has different circumstances, different preferences. You also make these decisions the best you can given the available information, because most of the time we don't have all the pieces. We can only make the decisions as best we can. Most of the economic theory that we'll learn this semester assume that people behave rationally, that we always make these conscious choices trying to maximize our benefits, our utility. And many times it's true enough, but are we completely rational? And most of you will answer, well, not always. And this is a debate that goes on in economics. And there's a newer branch of economics that is called behavioral economics. That is economics that looks at more of the psychology and more of the behavior of people in terms of economic decisions. And this author, this professor, Dan Ariely, has a great book, and here's a TED Talk that you can listen to by clicking on this link, that questions our perfect rationality. The marginal thinking. So that's making decisions, a small change at a time, and comparing the cost and benefit of that change. And that's how most economic decisions are made, or most decisions. So here's an example, a little bit of a description. You would take one small decision at a time. For instance, the decision to eat lunch, go home to eat lunch, or just stay and grab a sandwich nearby. And you would compare, how much does this cost me? What's the cost of the sandwich? The cost of my time to go there, and the benefit, what is it to me? How much time do I save? Do I have food at home? And then you make your decision. All right, a little bit about efficiency. Efficiency in economics can be described at length, but for now, efficiency, I will describe it as getting the most out of our scarce resources, which means that you produce the mix of goods and services that people want. You don't want to waste your resources producing things people do not want to buy. And the second piece of this is number one. And number two, you have to produce whatever people want the cheapest way possible. So you can save your resources to produce as much as you can, because we know we have all these unlimited wants that we need to somehow try to satisfy. So here's a recap, a quick example. Here's a choice that I have to make. Do I buy this nice pair of shoes? And so that's the proposition here. So what's the cost of doing this? Well, it's going to cost me about $200. Is this going to put me over the amount that I can pay? So am I going to accumulate some debt? Am I going to have to give up on some other expenses? Maybe I won't be able to go out with my friends because I bought my $200 pair of shoes. Could I get pain from these shoes when I walk with it? So these are potential costs. The benefit to me, well, it looks really, really nice. So going through this process of thinking it through also is a process that allows me to see if I'm going to maximize my utility from doing so. Is this shoes the right way to maximize my utility, or do I value eating out with my friends more? What's in my self-interest? Is it to put some credit card debt or not? And what would be more efficient for me to do? And that's describing the choice process in economic terms.